afternoon, and welcome back to another episode of Bears Talk Today. It's Super Bowl weekend, or week, but our team's not in the Super Bowl, unfortunately.
They haven't been for about 20 years.
No, yeah. But, hey, we're getting closer to it, and today we're just going to go over a bunch of great things that have happened for the Bears in the past couple of weeks. So sit back, relax. It's going to be a nice, decent, long episode. We're going to go over season recap, the new coaches we just hired, off-season predictions, and we're also going to throw in some Super Bowl predictions too. But let's jump right into it. First things first, what was some of the best parts of the season that you enjoyed?
Well, first of all, my favorite part of the season was getting to do the show with you, Justin.
Oh, stop it.
Come on.
Come on.
That was my favorite part. But for the general
Same
Bears
here.
fan, my favorite part of the season was seeing the positive aspects of Caleb Williams' game.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't, as many rookie quarterbacks are, he wasn't consistent week in through week out. He wasn't breaking records or whatever. But you saw a lot of flashes. I think we've already seen more from Caleb Williams than we did with Justin Fields, than we did with Mitchell Trubisky. And so for that, I am very happy. That was my main priority for the season, was to see Caleb grow, was to see the talent, was to see the ability. And despite a lot of dysfunction around the Bears, I saw that.
Yeah.
And that makes me very optimistic for the future, especially considering our coach.
Yeah.
But Caleb Williams, to me, was the best part of the season, specifically the talent that he was able to showcase.
No, I'd have to agree. I mean, one of my favorite ones is obviously Caleb Williams in London's 4 touchdowns. Just, you had to paint your nails after that. That was really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something that, like, his whole season has been electric. And unfortunately, obviously, Jaden Daniels had a better record, so it probably
he had an all-time rookie year.
He had an all-time rookie year. Later on, I'll get into the stat comparison because they were actually pretty close in yards and touchdowns, interceptions. But yeah, another honorable mention was our first home game. What a defensive matchup that was.
That was great. I was at that game. Tyreek Stevenson running down the sideline on the pick six.
Yeah,
that was pretty electric, I will say. That was pretty electric.
Yeah.
Now, Justin, as optimistic as we could be, and we could talk about some of the good things.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bad. We went 4-13.
Yeah.
We ended up at one point losing, I believe it was 10 straight games.
Yeah.
What were some of the worst parts of the season? If you had to narrow it down, what were some of the worst parts of the season?
I obviously have to go with the Hail Mary. I mean, that was when this all started, right?
Yeah.
The egregious taunting by Tyreek Stevenson. I mean, another honorable mention is the Detroit Thanksgiving game. What were we doing?
Yep.
And then the fact that Matt Eberflus decides to defend it. Like, I thought it was a good play. Like, no, you idiot. That was not a good play. Those are the top two. I would say another one would probably be the Seattle game. I remember vividly just watching it, and then, like, as soon I'm like, the Bears are going to do something stupid. And then they do, and then I just turned it off. And you were there at that game, too.
I was there at that game. It was, trust me, it was as stupid as it looked on TV.
Yeah.
I promise you that. No, I agree. The worst moment of the season was the Hail Mary against the Commanders.
Yeah.
Because not only was that moment so atrocious, but it just sent the Bears on such a downward spiral.
It really did.
Like, before that game, they were talking about, the Bears could sneak into the playoffs. They could be the 6th seed, 7th seed, whatever.
Yeah.
Caleb's starting to look better. The defense was still elite.
Yep.
That play happened, and it broke the Chicago Bears.
It sure did.
It set us off on a 10-game lose streak.
It did.
I've never, for quite a long time, I have not seen a singular play derail a team season like that play did the Bears. So
it was terrible.
Absolutely the worst point of the year.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit more about the season of Caleb Williams, the franchise quarterback, King Caleb, as I like to call him. If you had to rate, Justin, his season on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being, or I guess 1 being Jamarcus Russell, slob, can't get on the field. Number 10 being Jaden Daniels, I suppose.
Yeah.
What number value would you give Caleb Williams' rookie year?
Hell, I give it an 11. The reason why I say, I mean, like, let's be real here. Obviously, like in my notes, I say that he's not going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jaden Daniels has pretty much taken that. But if you look at their stat line, I mean, Caleb Williams had 3,540 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 88.7 quarterback rating. Jaden Daniels, 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 100.1 QBR. So very similar in stats and ratings. So I definitely think he had an electric season, and he played all 17 games. Like, this is something that you normally don't see. And another fun fact that I did some research last night on, according to StatMuse, Caleb Williams has the third lowest interception percentage by a rookie, and he's played all 17 games, right behind C.J. Stroud, and I want you to guess who's number one.
Rookie quarterback, low interception rate. Certainly wasn't Peyton Manning.
No, not for.
Is this a guy that the general audience would know?
Yeah, he's still playing. He's on the active team, starting quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers.
Nope. I would say I'll give you a hint. He's in the NFC East.
Dak?
Yeah, Dak Prescott.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dak did have a great rookie year.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal rookie year, and then the rest of his career just went to garbage. But
well, he was second in MVP last year.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stop you from crapping on the Cowboys.
Listen, we might be a Bears talk show, but any sneak diss to the Cowboys or Jerry Jones, we're all for it.
How about them boys?
How about them boys? But yeah, no, I mean it. I thought he had a really, really great season, and I think this is just a cherry on top to see how far he progresses, into his sophomore season. I think the only small concern that I have is, like, obviously C.J. Stroud had a good season, but some people were saying it was the sophomore slump. Yeah. But I do think with us having great coaching around us that I don't think that'll be the issue here. I think he'll pick up right where he left off.
Yeah, I would go with an 8. So, like, if you're
fair.
Looking at it like a school grade, it's like a B.
Yeah, no.
Like I said, I think he showed a lot of potential. I think he had some tremendous plays. There were inconsistencies throughout the year. I want to see him be more accurate on the deep passes next year. A lot of it, though, I feel like he gets a mulligan just in terms of the winning and losing. A lot of it he gets a mulligan because of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, should be banished from the city of Chicago for life.
Yes.
Like, I don't care if they want to go to the Bean with their family or they want to see the Sears Tower or they want to go to a Cubs game.
Yeah.
Don't let them. Don't let them in the city.
All that stuff's done for him.
So with that being said, given the circumstances of the season, I still think he played well. But obviously, I think there are some clear steps for improvement that he can make next year.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him attack down the field a little bit better. But given his coaching, given his offensive line, not a whole lot he could have done. He was never going to have the Jaden Daniels NFC Championship Cinderella run with this situation.
Yeah. And honestly, we wouldn't have expected that from Jaden Daniels. That kind of came out of nowhere too.
No, he had a tremendous season. Arguably all time. And again, I want to address this. We're going to have to address this for a while.
Yeah. No,
the Bears should not have taken Jaden Daniels.
I agree.
Caleb Williams is going to be the guy. Yeah. He's fine. Jaden Daniels might turn out to be better, and that's okay. But Caleb Williams is going to be a franchise quarterback. I am
for sure
supremely confident in that fact. Yeah. Part of the reason I'm supremely confident in that fact, Justin, is because of our new coaching staff.
Heck yeah.
So last week's episode, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I gave all my thoughts on Ben Johnson being back. Ben Johnson coming to the Bears, becoming their new head coach. 5 years, $65 million. Look at George McCaskey not cheaping out for once. So I already gave my opinion on Ben Johnson. I think I'm still, just dancing in my room and over the moon happy.
Yeah.
Why don't you give your thoughts on Ben Johnson? And then now that we have an almost complete list of coordinators and assistant coaches, we could go through that together.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I thought, this whole season when he was talking about, Ben Johnson, I'm like, it's a fluke because the Bears the front office has repeatedly failed us for so many years.
Correct.
You start to think, it's not going to happen. And when it did happen, it was a shock. I give a lot of credit to the McCaskies for being able to actually spend some money and get a big name coach. I mean, Ben Johnson is as best as you can get. I mean, Detroit ranked in the top 5 in scoring the past 3 seasons. I think they finished 5th in 2022 and 2023, and 1st in 2024 at 33.2 points a game. Could you imagine if the Bears
like half a season for a game?
About to say, could you imagine the Bears scoring at that rate? So before Ben Johnson came to Detroit, the Lions led the NFL in scoring. The last time they led the NFL in scoring was in 1954, and
Bobby Lane. I think.
Bobby. Yeah. It's just because I have a bunch of fun facts on Ben Johnson. The Lions had 230 plays that went for 20 yards or more. The only other team that had that was San Francisco. So
there you go.
You have a offensive mastermind that will be able to push the ranks of this offense to new heights. And I love what he said in the press conference. Like, they have to be able to be uncomfortable. And you have to be able to go out there and do what is needed to get a win, because I can tell he's a passionate coach about winning.
Yes.
He wants to see all of our parts succeed as a whole. So, I mean, I gave this an A+++++. I mean, we got our guy, which I'm still very shocked at myself, but I'm happy that we made the right step in that direction by doing that.
Yeah, totally agree. Couldn't be happier for Ben Johnson. Now, as much as I love Ben Johnson and as much as I wanted him and as much as I'm happy the Bears got him, I talk about this all the time. A very, very important step for coaches is to assemble a quality group of assistant coaches, coordinators, positional coaches, veteran coaches, especially with Ben Johnson, who's never been a head coach before. I think it's important to have coaches who have, been in the league a long time. And I think that's what he did as well. He, I think, has assembled an all-star staff for the coaching ranks for the Chicago Bears. Start with the defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, formerly the head coach of both the Raiders and Saints, one of the worst head coaches of all time. However, as we've learned with Matt Eberflus, being a good coordinator does not make you a good head coach, and vice versa. Just because he was a bad head coach does not mean he is not a great defensive coordinator. I think Dennis Allen was one of the most sought-after defensive coordinators in this cycle.
For sure.
He has proven during his time with the Saints and the Raiders that he can competently call a defense, he can manage a defense, he can maximize a defense. I think that's what the Bears need. And I think two other notes I'll make about Dennis Allen. Like I said, he's been a head coach, so you have that experience to help Ben Johnson with the new staff and everything. But additionally, one thing that we've seen with the Kansas City Chiefs, with Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, right? He used to be a head coach. Well, why is Steve Spagnuolo not leaving, like a lot of successful coordinators do, to go get coaching jobs? He had a coaching job, a head coaching job, and it went terribly. Dennis Allen has had 2 coaching jobs go terribly. So I don't think we have to worry about the Bears losing Dennis Allen anytime soon.
That was my thought too.
I think if this thing works, which I'm really hoping it does, I think we could see Dennis Allen being our defense coordinator for 4, 5, 6 years. Obviously, at that point, if he's secured enough goodwill, he can go be a head coach again. But I do believe that this is not a guy who's going to be a 1 or 2 year defensive coordinator if things are going well in Chicago. So I think that this hire is also an A+. I love Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. And we probably don't have to worry about losing him.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, he is really good at running a 4-3 defense. So, I mean, it won't be like, oh, my gosh, a dramatic change. But I also think with his stat lines, I mean, from 2018 to 2024, his defense ranked 5th best in the defensive EPA per play. Like, that's something that you don't, like, I'm a guy who does his research behind what coaches that we have. And if you come from good standing, like if you're able to coach different teams around the league that have had top 5 defenses or multiple Pro Bowl players, that means you're actually doing something right. And Dennis Allen, I mean, he's done something right. He Super Bowl winner as well. So, I mean, his specialty is just, really working with those DBs. But I feel like he's really going to make an impact on bringing our team together, because we had a good defense until the Washington game. But, I mean, obviously, looking back at it, like, we need somebody who's able to keep us consistently going. The defense wasn't a horrendous issue, but we weren't consistent enough. So I also give it an A+. Like I said, I don't think he'll leave either. He's had 2 horrible coaching stints, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But I like this signing as well.
Now, for the offensive coordinator, not as big of a name, not as big of a splash move for the Bears. And I'll be the first to admit, when the Bears hired Declan Doyle, I had to Google who he was.
I had to Google who he was too.
Formerly, he was the Broncos tight end coach, which when you think tight end coach, you think, whatever. But some offensive coaches start off as tight end coaches. Sean McVay is a perfect example of that. He started off like that in Washington. And the benefit is that if you work for Sean Payton, you have to know what you're doing. Sean Payton is not going to hire somebody who he doesn't think is going to be competent at their job. So he worked for Sean Payton. He worked for tight ends. To be honest with you, I don't think that this hire is as important as a Dennis Allen. Ben Johnson is going to be running the offense.
Oh, for sure.
But basically, before the reporter could finish the sentence, he will be calling the plays.
So
I think Declan Doyle will be more of a supportive role and not necessarily a running the offense role. So I'm not going to crush the Bears for this hiring. I wouldn't give this grade high remarks. But again, Ben Johnson is going to be our offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So we don't need like some guy to come in here and pretend like he's going to do everything.
Yeah.
So Declan Doyle, he's a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a strong opinion on this, truthfully. Partially because I don't know him. Partially because, like I said, Ben Johnson's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
Did you have kind of a hot take on Declan Doyle, or did you kind of think it was kind of the same
I kind of thought it was the same thing. My only concern is first-time offensive coordinator. The good thing is he comes from that Sean Payton coaching tree, and obviously Sean Payton brought him to Denver, I believe, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So I mean, definitely, to have the same coaching staff be brought over means that you're doing something right. So I definitely think that he has potential, and honestly, I'm glad we have Ben Johnson because it makes it easier for Doyle to be the fallback guy just in case if things go left. Yeah. But I mean, I gave this like a B. It wasn't anything that was terrible or kind of mid, but I think the Sean Payton tree kind of saved them from a lower grade, honestly. Yeah. So I'm hoping, some of the skill sets he learned while being in Denver and New Orleans will kind of help us here in that area.
I agree. Now let's go to quarterback coach. Familiar name, J.T. Barrett. For those of you who are like, that name sounds familiar. I wonder where he's from. He was Ohio State's quarterback the year they won the national championship. Unfortunately, he got injured, and then Braxton Miller came in, and then I think Braxton Miller got hurt, and then Cardale Jones, like Gus Johnson would always say, love Cardale Jones, came in and won them the national championship. So J.T. Barrett's been around football for a while. He's definitely a name that's floated around. He was, I believe, he was the assistant quarterback coach with the Detroit Lions. Ben Johnson brought him over. That is not going to be the only one.
No.
Suck it, Detroit.
Yeah.
But J.T. Barrett is now with the Chicago Bears as their quarterback coach. His relationship with Caleb Williams is going to be essential.
Very much
he is going to be, we saw it with Hard Knocks last year, the quarterback coach who then turned offensive coordinator, who then turned head coach, Thomas Brown, spend a lot of time with him. And those two guys are going to have to be on the same page. Obviously, Ben Johnson, like I said, is going to be running the offense.
Yeah.
But J.T. Barrett and Caleb, they got to get along. They have to be on the same page. And so I'm excited to have a guy in J.T. Barrett who played the position at a high level, knows what comes with the stresses and the emotions of it and everything like that. He also played at a big time. Ohio State's, no community college, right? So I think having a guy with that experience and that perspective is going to be good for Caleb Williams. And like I said, he worked with Ben Johnson previously in Detroit. I think this is a good hire for the Bears.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's something that will be great. I mean, I don't remember if our past QB coaches had, playing experience.
Thomas Brown was a running back.
Yeah. So, not in –
he wasn't a quarterback.
He wasn't a quarterback, though. Yeah. So I mean, I thought that this was a good hire too. I mean, in 23, he helped Jared Goff lead the league in passing first downs. He ranked second in passing yards, fourth in passing touchdowns. So definitely, I mean, if he can turn Jared Goff, which he's a decent starter, but obviously he's no superstar. If he can help Jared Goff improve his offensive schemes and skill sets, I highly, I really think that I'm really confident in him to help Caleb even grow anymore. Maybe to have him connect on those deep balls that you were saying earlier. Yeah. Have more of a higher completion rate, when he finishes games. I like this. I like this signing. I think this is a very good signing, and I feel like every person that would go down, mostly a few of them are from Detroit, and Ben Johnson is Thanos, and he's he has all the he has all the stones in his hands. Yeah. So I like
another stone that he acquired from the Detroit Lions, and another former player,
hometown
high profile player, pass game coordinator. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Wide receiver coach Antoine Randall L. If that name sounds familiar, he was a wide receiver in the NFL. Predominantly for the Pittsburgh Steelers, also played for the Washington, at the time, Redskins. If you remember in the 2005 Super Bowl, Steelers versus Seahawks, Antoine Randall on a trick play threw a touchdown pass to Hines Ward, one of the plays that won the Steelers that game. He was the wide receivers coach in Detroit as well. Yeah. Like you mentioned, he is a hometown guy from Illinois, from, I believe, Chicago specifically as well.
Yeah, Harvey, Illinois. I think he went to NIU, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, went to NIU. Detroit Lions have had some phenomenal receivers the last couple of years. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been a superstar. I think Jameson Williams, while I don't think he's a superstar, he's been a big play threat, the ability to just make game-breaking plays. And, he's had to, I think, calm Jameson Williams down a couple of times. There's been times where maybe his lid was about to fly off.
I was going to say the clip of him, yelling at him during the Thanksgiving game is all we needed to see.
But another thing I'll say, experienced coach, been with Ben Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
former player. Those are all good things,
Yeah.
right? Again, you understand how to play the position. You understand that perspective, playing at a high level. You're familiar with Ben Johnson. You've had success with your receivers in the past. I don't know how you can complain with this hire.
No, I mean, and I even put that in my notes. Like, we need somebody who will bring accountability. And I mean, obviously, my first knowing of Antoine Randall L. was obviously the Thanksgiving game when he was yelling at Jameson. But I honestly think, though, like, that's what we need. Because sometimes, I mean, not in the past couple of years. Yeah, I mean, accountability, yes, but, like, we need a coach to kind of get in people's faces a little bit, especially the wide receiver position is crucial. And I mean, I think he'll be great development, not only for obviously our WR1 DJ Moore, but also Roma Dunze is going to learn a lot from this guy. So I think this is I put a B+ because I haven't really, I mean, yes, he's had great seasons in Detroit, but I mean, like the only reason why I did not give it an A was because I feel like there wasn't enough information on him that's like, oh, he's helped. I mean, obviously he's helped St. Brown become a superstar, but I feel pretty good about it.
No, I agree. And rounding off our, I guess, three-peat of former players turned Bears assistant coach.
Yeah.
Our new defensive back / pass game coordinator coach, Al Harris, who played in the NFL for the Green. I know he played for the Packers. I think he played for a couple of other teams.
Yep.
He's been one of the hottest coaching commodities in the last couple of years. Now, if you remember a couple of years ago when Deron Bland had 5 or 6 pick sixes, Trayvon Diggs was tremendous.
All pro
Hooker's been
selections.
great. Stephon Gilmore rebounded in Dallas.
Yeah.
He's been the guy that has been at the core of that. He has done an excellent job, I think, coaching DBs. Again, a guy who's played the position at a high level, understands how to coach players. I really, not that I need my coaches to be former players, but I do love that ability to just connect with the guys, understand what they're going through. Al Harris, I thought, was a tremendous hire. And I'm looking at my notes, and I'm kind of confused because I see all these good coaches, and I see that they're on the Chicago Bears, and something doesn't compute in my brain. That doesn't make
there's
sense.
some scam. Like, actually, these guys play for they're working for another team.
Right. What is this This is like Bears Twitter account. You're right. I mean, the Bears, to their credit, they went out and they got a lot of great coaches, and I think. I mentioned this with the Ben Johnson thing, Justin, and I'm not going to sidetrack us too much.
Yeah.
But there was a report that came out, a couple weeks before the end of the regular season, that if Ben Johnson was going to take a job with a team, he wants them to be accountable and say, this is where we messed up, and this is how we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And I think now that we, have the benefit of hindsight that he did want the Bears and that the Bears were always his number one option, he confirmed that. One of the things he said to the Bears in that meeting was, you guys are cheap. We need to get as good of coaching staff as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the requirements for him becoming the Bears coach was we are not going to be shy about opening up the checkbook for these coaches.
Yeah.
Dennis Allen was not cheap.
No.
I'm sure JT Barrett, Antoine Randall, Al Harris, all three are guys that could get jobs a lot of places in the league.
Yeah.
But the Bears wanted them, and they got them. And that is so refreshing as a Bears fan.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing to know that if the big dog is available, we're going to go out and get him.
Yeah, I mean, I love the signing. I mean, obviously, you had kind of spoke about it earlier about, the effect that they had on the Dallas Cowboys. He also was with the Chiefs as well. I mean, very good teams. And, I mean, I'm very interested to see what he's going to do with Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson as the 1-2 cornerbacks. Also, another guy I think could work well with is Kyler Gordon. So, I mean, I just think that this is a great hire. I'm also with you on having former players become coaches because I feel like they understand a little bit more than the average coach does, especially if they were good players or, good players when they were, actually playing before. So, yeah.
Another player that played at a high level and a guy that he's been a big name in recent years.
Yeah.
Our new running back coach is Eric Bieniemy. Now,
that's a shocker. That was
big. That was a big shocker. That just happened, a day or two ago?
Yeah, a couple of days ago.
So glad we're recording this now.
Yeah.
That's a big shocker to me. Eric Bieniemy played running back at the University of Colorado, was very successful, went on to coach in the NFL. He coached running backs. I believe he coached both Maurice Jones-Drew and Adrian Peterson in their career, some of the best running backs of my lifetime. Then, as I'm sure all of you know, he went on to be the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, in fairness, we all know Andy Reid's running the ship there, right? But that experience that he brings from winning in Kansas City, having success with Adrian Peterson, Maurice Jones-Drew, I think the only negative to a guy like Eric Bieniemy, who has a lot of this experience, a lot of this winning under his belt, is last couple of years have been rough. Last year at UCLA, he got fired.
Yeah.
He mutually parted ways.
Yeah.
Got fired.
Yeah, fancy jargon.
Year before that, he stepped away from being the Chiefs' offensive coordinator to go to Washington. Washington's offense struggled a lot.
Yeah, and they were going through. I just want to know because obviously he didn't do well in Washington, but like they were going through like a whole staff change in there, man. It was just
Sam Howell's quarterback. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that too. So I don't. I mean, UCLA did bad, but I don't look at Washington as his fault. They were. Everyone on the GMs, they were all rotating people, so that's hard to control.
I agree. Mm-hmm. And another thing I'll say is I think a coach having this much experience and now being a specialist in one position group is important.
Beautiful. Yeah.
He's going to bring his winning experience from his time in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Again, is this a home run? Oh, my gosh, this guy's the next Bill Walsh? Probably not. But this is a guy who's probably going to be a really, really good running back coach.
Yeah.
He's done it in the past. He's had great success.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears, Ben Johnson talked about this. The Bears are going to run the football.
Yeah.
They're going to run the football well.
Mm-hmm.
He is quoted as saying, quarterback efficiency is now more important than turnovers in the NFL.
Yeah.
And the number one way to help a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, is by running the ball well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what he did in Detroit. They ran the ball very, very well in Detroit. Yeah. Now Eric Bieniemy is going to help him do that for the Chicago Bears. I like it.
I like
think it's
it
a good
too.
hire.
Yeah.
I don't really have a complaint about it, but I'm not pretending like a couple of years ago, everybody wanted Eric Bieniemy as their coach.
Yeah.
I think he's fallen from grace a little bit, but at the same time, having him as a position coach, I thought was a great hire.
No, and I mean, I also wanted to add when Bieniemy was with the Chiefs, Edwards-Helaire had rushed for like over 1,600 yards, had 371 carries, caught 72 passes. He also scored 17 total touchdowns. So he's, that's effectiveness that wins games. He doesn't have to make DeAndre Swift a superstar, but make him effective enough to where if our passing game is not that great and we want to run the ball, we actually have the option to run the ball and run the ball efficiently.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And last, I think this is the last confirmed coach that we have.
Yeah.
Offensive line coach Dan Rosehar?
Rosehar, yeah.
Thank you for the enunciation. Formerly the offensive line coach of the New Orleans Saints. I wonder if there's a connection with Dennis Allen, who was just the head coach of the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I thought he did a good job with Talisi Fuaga, their first-round pick last year. He looks like a really good player. Trevor Penning, who I did not like coming into the NFL, has been better for them as well.
Yeah.
Again, is this a slam dunk? Is this the Eagles guy, and I'm blanking on his name, Jeff Stoutland. Is this Jeff Stoutland? Is this, oh my gosh, our offensive line is going to –
No.
Probably not. But having a competent, experienced veteran offensive line coach, I don't think it's a bad thing. Again, is this a grand slam home run? Probably
no.
Not, but it's a single or a double.
Yeah.
When in the past few years, the Bears have been striking out with their offensive line coach, Chris Morgan. Chris Morgan. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. This isn't something that is like, oh my gosh, we signed somebody that was going to save. I mean, we hope that he's going to save our O-line. But I also, in my research, I also saw something that was really good. So the Saints had 3 players on, the team while he was coaching. Andrews Pete, Larry Warford, and Max Unger. They combined for 10 Pro Bowls. 10 Pro Bowls from 2016 to 2020. And they finished top 5 in sack preventions 4 times. I mean, those are stat lines that are pretty good. I mean, if he can obviously develop players like those, I'm confident that he can develop players that we have as well on the O-line.
Yeah, I think this is big for Darnell Wright that we took top high in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is, I think, a perfect segue to talking about the offseason and the draft.
Yeah.
Now, it's no secret that the Bears are going to need to add some offensive linemen.
Oh,
whether that's free agency, whether that's the draft, whether that's preferably both.
Yeah.
The Bears are going to need to add some offensive linemen. So I'm sure he'll have some new players for the Bears to coach here pretty soon. Justin, I want to talk about the Bears' free agency period first, because as we know, free agency is going to start in about a month-ish. Middle of March kind of is when it starts.
Yeah.
The Bears currently, per Spot Track, have about $66 million in cap space.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we know you can't spend all $66 million. We get it.
Yeah.
Because of the draft picks and everything like that.
Yep.
But $66 million is some serious dough.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears are going to be able to get some good players on the free agency market.
Yeah.
Are there players specifically, and I have a few, as well. Are there players or positions specifically that the Bears need to address in free agency, and how would you do that?
Man, I feel like we need to do a lot of re-signing, obviously. There are guys that I think we should keep on the team. I'll start off with the free agents. I know a lot of people are either yay or nay on Trey Smith. Obviously,
yay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm yay too, but I mean, if the Chiefs somehow win again and three-peat, he's not. They're gonna franchise. They're gonna do something to him to make him stay. So I mean, but if he says, you know what, I want to test the free agency, market and see what's going on, he's definitely a guy that's on my number one. I mean, I know definitely we've kind of beat over the head the same narrative about making sure that we sign O-line guys or draft O-line guys.
There's a reason we beat it over the head. It's because they beat Caleb over the head.
Yeah. 68 times.
Yeah,
actually.
68 times, yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's on my list. I also have a hot take to take. I do not think we should bring back Keenan Allen. I'm not a fan.
I'm not either.
Yeah. I just think as he's getting older, I mean, why not sign a Tim Patrick? I know we keep stealing people from Detroit. Why not sign a Tim Patrick?
Amon-Ra, get over here, man. Come on.
Yeah, he's definitely not coming over. But I think you sign a guy like Tim Patrick who's been okay, and make Moore your wide receiver 1, Rome your wide receiver 2, and you just go with that. I mean, but yeah, I just think finding a decent wide receiver 3 is important. But I think Keenan Allen was just a test drive,
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, obviously with the coaching changes, maybe it was harder for him to pick up on different schemes and plays, but those are obviously for me, anybody on the O-line is important, and also anybody who's, a good wide receiver is important.
To your point about Keenan Allen, there's 3 things you don't want to be in the NFL. Old, expensive, and slow.
Yeah.
He's all 3.
He is.
I'm not for re-signing Keenan Allen.
No.
On your Trey Smith point, per spot track, his estimated AAV would be $19.7 million a year. You can go ahead and bump that up to 20 just for symmetry purposes. Would you be comfortable giving Trey Smith the Landon Dickerson deal? He got 4 for 84, which is about $21 million. Would you give him 4 years, $80 million?
How old is he?
25.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would too.
20. Yeah,
he's 25.
He'll still be. I mean, obviously, offensive.
He'll end his contract when he's 30.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, sign him.
Yes,
sign him. We got $66 million. We'll have a little change left to get us some McDonald's later. But I mean, I think it's worth it. I mean, you heard what Ben Johnson said. We gotta not be cheap on our coaches. We got to not be cheap on our players either. I mean, especially if you sign somebody like that, I think it's huge. And that's the reason why Patrick Mahomes has had time to do his taxes, file, edit a video while in the pocket. It's like every time you watch a game with the Chiefs, man, why can't anybody sack him? Because Trey Smith is holding the line down.
Trey Smith, Joe Thuney, and Creed Humphrey in the middle before they bumped out Thuney to left tackle.
Yep. Insane.
I would love Trey Smith. I think he should be the Bears' number 1 option.
Yeah.
In fact, Bears fans went up to him during the Super Bowl media, which
stop that.
Another guy who's playing on Sunday that I would like the Bears to take a look at, Mekhi Becton, a recent graduate of Jeff Stoutland University.
Yes.
Mekhi Becton went from being a bust in New York to, this guy's actually really good because he got competent coaching and he's playing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Crazy how that works, right?
Crazy how that works. He's also 25.
Okay,
he would be a guy if you're looking at going cheaper on guard, which I don't like saying go cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah.
He's estimated to be about $10 million per year, so you're getting about half the cost for him.
You could sign him longer.
Yeah, you probably could sign him longer. He's, again, 25. I think guard needs to be a huge priority for the Bears in free agency. Tackle as well. There's not a lot of premium tackles that are going to hit the free agent market. That's why I think that's more of a draft way to acquire players.
Yeah.
But Jedrick Willis for the Cleveland Browns, been very banged up. I understand. He is an unrestricted free agent. The Bears could sign him and hope that he could stay healthy. Couple of other guys too. Kelvin Beachum, I mean, he's 35. He's really old. DJ Humphries for the Chiefs. I know he's been banged up this year. Tackle, I'll be honest, is a little bit more bare bones than guard in terms of free agency. That's why I would recommend signing a guard, drafting a tackle.
That's smart.
And then just to, dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's, there are a lot of free agent receivers. Would you, if you're the Bears, Justin, break the bank for T. Higgins? Do you think there are other needs on the Bears?
I saw that one, and then I also thought about Cooper Kupp, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay that much for an older receiver. So Cooper Kupp's out of my.
I don't think the Rams would be able to trade Cooper Kupp. I think they're going to have to cut him because who's going to take on $20 million AAV plus for a 32-year-old receiver who's had one healthy season?
Yeah,
I mean, true. If we're being real, and this is going to upset a lot of people, Cooper Kupp's career is pretty similar to Kenny Galladay.
Yes. Just about the ring.
Now, his one season was historic.
Yeah.
But over the course of his career, he's close to Kenny Galladay. In terms of free agent receivers, I don't love it necessarily. Stephon Diggs, I don't love. Yeah. T. Higgins would be, I think, a little expensive. Keenan Allen, we already said, is 33. No.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks.
I'll bite on a Chris Godwin.
I might bet on a Chris Godwin, depending on what his value is.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins, he's like 30. He's going to be 33 by the time next season rolls around.
Yeah.
Demarcus Robinson, Nelson Aguilar. I don't love the free agent receiver market.
Yeah, it's not great this year.
A guy that I guess you could look at would maybe be Elijah Moore.
Okay.
I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Tutu Atwell, but I don't love the UFA at receiver. So
maybe we just focus on drafting a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into the draft, there's one more question that I want to ask you, and this is kind of a last-minute thing. Just happened a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
this is breaking news. Should the Bears trade a king's ransom for Myles Garrett?
No. That's something that I'm just like I don't know, because I get it. Myles Garrett is probably going to be a Hall of Famer when his career is over, and I think he has made some effective strides while being in Cleveland. But I feel like his value is going to be so high, and I just feel like it's going to be something that's going to. I don't like. We're still like, yes, we're rebuilding, but like I don't want us to give up too much to the fact to where we're like. I'm pulling this early too. I don't want us to end up like the Dallas Mavericks. I don't want to get robbed seriously. I don't want to end up like Dallas and get robbed and be good for 2 years. Like, no, Caleb will be here for long term. I'd rather be good the next 10 years and be okay next season, and then the next season after that we make, I don't know, Super Bowl, whatever. But yeah,
that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome, right? Yeah. So I just feel like, will he even would want to play here? Because he even said in his little, post that he put, I want to play for a Super Bowl contender. And, I mean, that's a question that we'll probably ask as the offseason unfolds, but it's not like we're like the 49ers or a team that just had a bad season. Like, we're starting over, and I mean, we're getting some good traction, but I will not give up my assets this early. Not maybe if it was like year 3 or 4 of Caleb, and he's had a couple of playoff runs and he's almost there, but he can't cross the threshold of winning a championship.
Like a Josh Allen.
Yeah. If I was the Bills and Josh Allen, you sign him, because Josh Allen's getting older. You want to make sure you can be able to have a more of an effective rate on the defensive side. That's actually, I don't know if the Bills will want to trade for that, but I'm no Bills GM, so maybe he would, maybe he would.
I think that you have to do anything to beat
You have to do anything to keep, I mean, that too.
You're a step behind the Chiefs every year.
Every year.
Myles Garrett give you about 2 steps.
Yeah, 2 steps and a sack.
2 steps.
In that order. But I would not. I mean, I think the rumors of him signing to the Bears is just garbage talk, but I personally do not think we should trade for him. We're going to have to give up too much. This is too early for that.
I would agree. I will say, in terms of the likelihood of the Bears landing Myles Garrett, I think we're one of the only teams in the NFL that match his qualification of contender because of Caleb, because of the new coaching staff.
Yeah.
You could squint your eyes and say that we're a contender on the rise, I guess.
Yeah, on the rise team, yeah.
The other thing that's interesting about the Bears for the Browns is that if they're going to send him to Buffalo or the Commanders or the Eagles or the Ravens, not that they would trade in division, but any of the contending teams, well, all these contending teams have picks 25 and up. The Bears have picked 10.
Yeah.
So if the Bears gave the Browns a phone call and said, we'll give you pick 10, we'll give you pick 41, and we'll give you Roshan Johnson. I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
Out of all the teams that Myles Garrett would want to go to, the Bears probably have the best draft pick to offer. With that being said, I agree with you. I think trading valuable assets when you are a still rebuilding team for a 29-year-old, as much as he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, superstar,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. That shrinks the window a little bit.
It does.
That takes us from we have a few years to get the ball rolling to we better win the Super Bowl in 2 years.
Yeah. That's
and
a lot
that
of
I
pressure.
think is rushing the timeline.
Very much.
I don't love that. So as cool as it would be to get Myles Garrett, you're not getting Myles Garrett without giving up the number 10 overall pick.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
And
I don't
because
do
of that, again, from a financial standpoint, from a longevity standpoint, from an age standpoint, I think it makes sense to hold on to the pick.
Yeah,
so for Bears fans, I'm sorry. Listen, if they can find a way to do it without the 10th overall pick,
hey, we'll
out
take
of years.
it. Yeah.
If they're going to give them like 8 third-round picks, I'm down.
Right.
Browns would never do that.
No.
Well, you know what? I take that back. They're the Cleveland Browns.
They'll do anything.
They're the team that gave Deshaun Watson two first-round picks and gave him $260 million guaranteed after, you guys know what happened.
Yeah.
If a team could do that, I'm sure they could trade Myles Garrett for like a couple seconds. This could be like a Luka situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where we wake up one day and the Browns traded him for
a bag of chips.
Yeah, they traded him for Shane Waldron, who's not even employed by us anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I know. What would be the Myles Garrett to the Bears Luka equivalent? It'd be like Myles Garrett and a third-round pick for Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst trades ever. But hey, you know what? If the Lakers could pull it off, maybe King Poles could do it.
Yeah, maybe I was gonna say maybe Ryan Poles.
What's the Lakers GM name? Polenta?
Yeah, Rob Pelinka. Yep.
Rob Pelinka?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah. We could do it. We could do it.
We could definitely do it.
That's our Myles Garrett monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I mentioned the draft.
Yeah.
Okay. I mentioned the top 10 overall pick.
Yep.
Let's start with the top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, what are you doing? You're Ryan Poles. What's the draft strategy for the Bears at number 10? What positions are you looking at? What players are you looking at? Are you looking to trade up, trade down? What are you doing if you're King Poles in this situation?
Well, if I'm King Poles, I'm playing it safe. I mean, we talked about this all year. We even have an episode previous this season about who we think should be in the draft, and my picks are the same: Kelvin Banks or Will Campbell. You got to go. You got to get the big boys up front. Yeah, you do. And a lot of people, are hemming and humming about Ashawn Jeanty. Like, no, I think we have to play it smart here and be able to get some good talent while it's out there. I mean, hell, if you pair this with a Trey Smith or another really great free agent, that's an impact right there. Yeah,
I agree.
So
I agree. I just opened up the PFF mock draft simulator. It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Will Campbell is on the board at number 10 for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin Banks is also on the board for the Bears. In this situation, would you want to trade down and hope you could still land a guy? Or would you just say, I don't care what extra third I can get, I'm getting my guy, I'm solidifying that offensive line?
No, I'm getting my guy. I mean, I don't like if we didn't have DeAndre Swift and we had just like a terrible running back, I would say, yeah, maybe, but no, let's stick to the plan and let's not do anything crazy. But knowing the Bears, it could be a small there's probably some DraftKings bet out there that's like, will the Bears trade up their pick, and the odds are probably just as high. But from what I've seen, obviously we have seen consistent great coaches signings, but we'll see how they do with the players and free agents. But yeah, I would say just keep it normal, draft your O-line guy, and you rebuild in the later rounds, and that's how you go.
I agree. I love building inside out.
Yes.
I love building with the trenches up front.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh was quoted this year as saying that he sees the offensive line as the tip of the spear for the offense.
Yep.
They are the ones that are going to lead the offense. Your offensive line will take you as far as they can, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is going to be the most important position group. We saw last year with Caleb. Not only could they not run the ball, not only was he under duress all year, but they just look at the teams in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We talked about the Chiefs. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football.
They
right?
do.
Ben Johnson is coming from one of the best offensive lines in Detroit. Teams with good offensive lines are pretty successful.
Very much so.
So build through that. So I like the Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks idea.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say, and this is for our Bears fans out there that are going to be passionate about this. In fact, somebody asked me at lunch today, Ashton Jeanty.
Yep.
What's the thought there?
I'm not a fan of it because if you look at a lot of the mock drafts, he's not even – is he – I looked at one last night. I don't even think he was in top 10, was he? What is he on that one?
In this one, he went – let's see if I can find him. If I can read, I got to squint my eyes a little bit. He went 12th to Dallas.
Okay, so
that actually makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
they need a running back.
Yeah, we don't have a desperate need for a running back, and especially we just signed Eric Bieniemy. I think he can make DeAndre Swift into a Clyde Edwards-Helaire instantly. He doesn't have to be a superstar running back, but he has to be an effective one. So I definitely think, Ashton Jeanty was great in college. You know, Heisman eligible contender. But I just don't think we need to trade up and get him. I mean, if let's say I think he's not going to drop past 20. But let's just say if he's still out there and you want to grab him,
I grab him at 39.
Yeah, I grab him at 39. But I don't think he's gonna last that long in the draft. So I say no. As great as he looked in college.
So then what's good for the Bears is they also have 2 other picks inside the top 41. They have pick 39 from the Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. The final part of the Caleb Williams trade that seems like the gift that just keeps on giving.
Seriously.
And we have pick 41, our own pick. I'm sitting here at number 39. Tyler Booker from Alabama is there, the guard.
Okay.
Now, in this scenario where, again, dream offseason, right? You sign Trey Smith.
Yeah.
You draft Will Campbell.
Ooh.
You draft Tyler Booker. You got your guards.
Yeah.
I would put Will Campbell at left tackle. Some people believe he's just a guard in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I tend to think he could play left tackle. I tend to think he can at least be a fine left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Get him at left tackle. Then you've got Will Campbell. Then you got Tyler Booker.
Yep.
Then you've got Trey Smith, and you got Darnell Wright, who is our current best offensive lineman.
Yep.
That is a really good offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Find a competent center, and you got a really good offensive line there.
You do. Yeah.
So would you go with Tyler Booker, or would you look elsewhere for maybe an edge rusher, a receiver? What's your kind of thoughts at pick 39?
I would take Tyler Booker. I mean, he's proven that he is a really good guard. And, I mean, you just said it. I mean, if we're able to land all of those players all at once, I mean, that's like next season over, an effective to where it makes a difference from what we were last year. So, I mean, I would take him at 39.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not a risk. That's not a bad risk for me. He was good in college. He was very good in college. So
then at 41, if this played out for the Bears, I think this would be tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
I would then take JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State, the edge rusher.
Okay.
I think the Bears are a little weak at edge. Montez Sweat is good. I think they're a little weak at edge.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a problem at Ohio State, the reigning national champion, one of the best defenses in the country. In fact, the best defense in the country, if we're being honest. I like that for the Bears. I think that that's a move that they need to make, and I would be excited to bolster both the offense and the defensive line with our first 3 picks.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah,
like I said, I think once we get past our top 10 pick, and once we really get down to the deeper rounds, is when we can really make some. If those players are still there, we can really make some big changes.
Yeah.
So I'm liking it.
Now you mentioned DeAndre Swift as the running back.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really good running back class. I think the top is going to be, obviously, you got your Jeanty will be, I'm sure, the first running back picked.
Yeah.
But I think later on in the draft, the Bears should seriously consider drafting a running back in one of the mid rounds.
Okay.
I like Caleb Johnson out of Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
I like Quinshon Jenkins out of Ohio State. Trayvon Henderson, also out of Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I like the running back from Tennessee, whose name I'm blanking on right now, unfortunately. I think there are some quality running backs in this draft.
Yeah.
Now, Ben Johnson, like I said, they always kind of deployed 2 running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Back when they had DeAndre Swift, it was also Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, it's been Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's been David Montgomery. So I think you need 2 different running backs with 2 different styles. DeAndre Swift is more Jahmyr Gibbs adjacent, to where he's kind of the quick, agile, not so much a bruiser like a David Montgomery would be. So I think maybe that could be the way that they go, and I think Jenkins would fit that bill tremendously.
I think so too.
So I think running back is an option, and then, like you said, I think receiver should be optioned as well. But there's a lot for the Bears to do in this offseason. Thankfully, they have resources. They've got good draft picks. They've got money.
Yeah.
Lots of it. I'm sorry, say again?
I said lots of it. Lots of money.
Yeah, lots of money. Right. McCaskey, please don't be cheap.
No.
And I'm excited. I'm hopeful and I'm excited. And again, I was talking to lunch about the Bears.
Yeah.
And optimism is nothing new to the Bears fans.
No.
Results are.
We've been here before. So, yeah.
Optimism is nothing new. And, every year we say, oh, it's different, it's different, it's different, it's different.
Yeah.
And I do think it's different, but then again, as my mother says all the time, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
In fairness, though, I don't think the Bears are doing things the same way. I think that they're committed to change. I was very, very optimistic by the Ben Johnson acquisition.
Me too. Yeah.
And I hope that Ryan Poles is going to be the guy that lead us in the future. Again, I've been iffy on Ryan Poles, but he was a big part in landing Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
He's got the resources. Make it work.
Yeah, and I mean, when we said this before previously in other episodes, but like his job was under the hot seat if he didn't perform well. And in the past 5 or 6 months, I mean, he's just made a lot of great decisions and signings and changes. So I'm good with Poles. I took him off the hot seat as soon as he signed Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I put some cold water on that hot seat for sure.
Yeah, same here.
Last thing we want to do. We've been going. It's been a long episode. It's been a good episode. It's been a long episode.
Yeah, good episode.
Last thing I want to do. It's the Super Bowl on Sunday.
It is.
We would be remiss if we were a football talking channel and we didn't discuss the biggest game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Chiefs, Eagles, Sunday on Fox in New Orleans.
Yep.
Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions. What do you think?
Man, I am super excited for Sunday because I am no Chiefs fan, but I'm a Chiefs hater. So,
there you go.
With that being said, I think the Chiefs will not be able to stop Saquon Barkley. I also want to give a huge shout out to my Morehouse brother, Miles Johnson. He has his own, he's from Philly, Eagles fan, has his own sports podcast.
Go Birds.
So
there you go.
Please, Miles, give him some good luck.
Yeah,
something, please. But no, I think that I think if you kind of look at the last couple of Super Bowls, and I mean, it's all been close ones. It's not like the Chiefs came out there and dominated. The only one I can think, I don't know if there's ever been obviously not the one they lost in against the Tom Brady because they lost. But I'm just saying there hasn't been a Super Bowl that they've been in that have been like, oh, they're dominant. They've just been able to, or maybe there has.
Patrick Mahomes in every Super Bowl he's played in has had a deficit of at least 10 points.
Yes. Yeah.
He's come back against the 49ers twice and the Eagles.
Yeah.
And he got blown out by Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But to act like Patrick Mahomes is just dominating every Super Bowl, it's not the case.
It's not the case at all. And, I think sometimes your luck runs out. Your luck does run out. So I definitely think – and also as well, I was telling Mike before the show, they haven't faced an elite running back in any of these,
Except for probably McCaffrey.
Yeah.
We'll give McCaffrey, yeah.
And
he fumbled.
He did fumble, but before that, McCaffrey was killing them.
Yeah.
Every play.
Yeah.
So I think definitely and I have Saquon as my MVP of the regular season too.
Birthday boy MVP.
Birthday boy. Look, if he wins both, then it's definitely scripted. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that Saquon Barkley is going to have a field day when he's out there. I mean, I think he's going to single-handedly destroy the Chiefs because the Chiefs can't keep up with him. Sorry, Chris Jones, you're too slow for Saquon Barkley. I'm just going to say
before I start, give me a score prediction.
I will say I have 31-26 Eagles. And Saquon wins MVP on his birthday. That's the greatest gift you can get.
When are we going to stop betting against Patrick Mahomes?
I knew you were going to do that.
When are we gonna,
I knew you were going to do that.
As a society, when are we going to stop doing that? Because it's just it seems ridiculous at this point. And your analysis is great. Saquon has been phenomenal. Again, I think that any defense would have trouble stopping Saquon Barkley in the running game. I think that is you combine tremendous offensive line, good receivers, mobile running threat quarterback with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. That offense is going to be hard to stop.
Very much so.
The Chiefs, though, have Steve Spagnuolo as their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
For my money, the best defensive coordinator ever. They also have Andy Reid, who is, for my money, one of the 4 best. He's on the coaching Mount Rushmore. And they have Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Who will go down. He's not there yet.
No.
But he will go down as the greatest quarterback of all time. In fact, greatest player of all time. With that being said, from a roster standpoint, the Eagles, I think, are better in every area but quarterback and tight end.
Yeah.
Coaching, I think the Chiefs have a huge advantage in this game. The Eagles have been, how do I say this? They have been it's almost like a new team from last year. They've like shed the skin of their defense from last year. Their defense has made a complete 180 with old friend of the Chicago Bears, Vic Fangio, one of the GOATs. They have matched up so well against so many different teams because of their trenches. Their defensive line is ridiculous. Their corners, despite being a couple of them rookies, have been awesome. Zach Bond, what a turnaround of his career. That guy's going to get paid soon. And, of course, I do think that they're a well-coached team on both sides. But I cannot pick against Patrick Mahomes. Listen to me. Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. This is a guy who is 60 minutes away from being the first ever quarterback ever. Well, I guess they would all be the first ever player ever to three-peat. The 70s Steelers didn't do it. The 90s Cowboys didn't do it. The Bears certainly didn't do it. The Patriots never did it with Tom Brady. They are going to three-peat. Shout out Pat Riley. I don't see how in a stage this big, the Chiefs are not the better coach team. They're not the better situational team. They're not the team that makes the biggest plays in the biggest moments. I think this game will be very close, and I think the Eagles are a terrible matchup for the Chiefs. I do. I think that this Eagles team matches up very, very well for the Chiefs. Or for the Eagles against the Chiefs. But I cannot pick against Patrick Mahomes. Give me the Chiefs 27-24.
Okay. I think
field goal game. It's close. It is close.
I was going to say it's not going to be a blowout.
It is not going to be a blowout. I don't think the Eagles will blow out the Chiefs. I certainly don't think the Chiefs will blow out the Eagles. Close game, field goal game. Mahomes gets it done again.
I think that's very great. That's a very great analysis. And you're right. Historically, Patrick Mahomes has dominated everybody, especially the Bills. But everybody
why you gotta do that to Josh Allen, man?
I mean,
listen,
why you gotta do that? 4-0. That's just a butt spanking right there. Yeah. But no, I mean, like you bring up some very great points. But I also want to mention one thing that a lot of people talked about. That was, I'm not gonna say that is why the Eagles lost a close one, but that turf from 2 years ago was god awful. Players were slipping and sliding. So I think that will be a huge factor. I mean, it wasn't like I think it was 35-38 Chiefs.
35-38. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't like it was a complete oh my gosh, they just took over the game and dominated.
Jalen Hurts played the best game of his life.
Exactly, and not a lot of people are talking about that. So I think, you got to understand, Jalen Hurts is the most. I'll say it. He's the most scrutinized NFL quarterback, worse than Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago when he wasn't getting his playoff wins. So I think he's going to be motivated and wanting to win. But hey, he knows what to do. Yeah, pass the handoff.
Hand the ball to Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
wow, it's Derrick Henry.
Saquon Barkley.
Wrong phrase acquisition.
Yeah, no. So, but I do, whether you call it the refs, whether you call it the
dark magic.
The dark magic, the dark magic. The Chiefs to beat it's a hard task for any NFL team to do, especially on a big stage like that one. Yeah. I will also say though, not saying the odds are against them because Patrick Mahomes is pretty good, but one thing that I was watching a live stream of Shannon Sharp, and he said something that was really
dangerous.
Important. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Undisputed, not Instagram live stream.
That's a dangerous game, Justin.
Hey, I walked into that one, so I'll take that one. No, but football is there. It's not like basketball or baseball where you play multiple games in a series. It's one game. Yeah, one game. And obviously, you can say some Super Bowls the Chiefs got lucky or they didn't miss a call. But I mean, no matter if you're Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, mistakes do happen, and I feel like the Chiefs have to be perfect. They can't make any mistakes, no big interceptions, no big fumbles, because if you make that,
the Eagles could easily run away with this game. So
very much
I'll take the Chiefs by a field goal. Sounds like you're taking the Eagles by a field goal. Either way, it should be a good game.
Yes.
We've gone way past time. I want to say one more thing. Yeah. 1 to 10, how good do you expect Kendrick Lamar to be at the halftime show?
Oh, it's gonna be an 11.
Did you see Baby Keem?
Yes,
Baby Keem, SZA
for sure.
Drake, just kidding.
Drake is definitely not coming out there. But if he did, it would break.
You think we get a Wheezy cameo because he's in New Orleans?
We might.
Cool.
I don't think though Kendrick and Lil Wayne have a song together, or they might. I just don't know.
Yeah,
I can't think of it.
But
yeah,
I think that wraps it up.
Yeah.
This was the longest episode we've done.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the best episodes.
For sure, yeah.
Justin came back. I'm so glad. Bears Talk was not the same without him.
Oh, thank you, man.
Alex, I'm so sorry for making you stand there for an hour.
Yeah. Sorry. Love you, Alex.
Yeah, love you. Thank you. I don't know what else to say, but that's going to wrap it up for us. We'll be covering the Bears offseason. We'll be covering the draft, free agency, everything like that. So until then, it's good seeing you guys. We'll catch you guys later.
See you.